Hi there, welcome to the 8th Wyckoff technical analysis session, and let's quickly dive into the charts and see after Aave got rejected from the key level of $360 where it is heading. So let me enlarge this a little so it's easier for you to see. 360, the purple key level, that's where around the last buying climax was back in December last year. When the price eventually went through that level last week, it came down and closed below that level, and this week the price came down to test the key level of 315. But then it seems it's finding support right now, it's staying above that key level at around $316. So let me adjust the chart a little because now you can't see the numbers. So that's where I'm trying to move it to. Yeah, I think that should be enough. Yep. So 316, the current level, and basically it's still trying to stay within the blue and the purple. So instead of LPSYs over here, I would actually move them back to this side because the new ones hasn't happened yet. If I change it to a line chart, you see clearly these little peaks over here. So they are more or less correct in that way. This may eventually happen over this side because a second test has just finished. But I shouldn't say finished because it's still within this upward trend box, this yellow box over here. So if it finds support and eventually go test again, maybe this is not the highest point for this climb that started since April. So I'll still keep the question mark here. Sign of weakness, that was, well, I will keep it here as well if it's really going to come up for an upthrust, because these ones are just intermediate bounces to the up leg. I won't put sign of weakness over there. So when it comes down, that's where it will go. The volume itself this week isn't that crazy, even though the price dropped quite a bit. So for those that are bullish, maybe that's a good sign for you that the price hasn't, the volume isn't going that crazy. If it continue to trade sideways, I see that a squeeze is going to happen in the next few weeks. Interestingly, that matches the timeline. You see this triangle over here. If the price continues to stay within the blue and the purple key level and continue to trade sideways by end of October or beginning of November, that's where this price is being cornered. So when it's cornered, that means it has to either go up and continue with this uptrend, then breaking through the purple key level, or it has to fall outside of this upward trend box, meaning the uptrend, this uptrend cycle is over. So from now till end of October, within these 2 months, we would be seeing something very interesting when we get closer to this point. Hopefully it's going to happen that way, because otherwise, if it really falls below this blue key level of 315, is entering an earlier triangle that has to, the price has to break out before the end of September. So hopefully that's not the case, but that's still a possibility, so I have to explain to you as well. So if it really comes to this point before end of September, it better goes up again, or otherwise it has to fall outside of this upward channel, telling everybody the current uptrend is over and it has to develop another trend. So that doesn't mean it's only going to the downside. It can still rebound from, let's say, the light blue key level of 270, just that when it climbs, the bottom edge of this box will become a resistance line. So that's the big picture. If we go to the daily and look at the micro, we would see some more. So last time we put in this one, saying, was it just a second test, or do we consider that an upthrust of the distribution? For now, I will break that apart. One, this is the upthrust of the distribution that happened on Saturday, just the past Saturday. This would be the second test over here. Currently, the price has returned to this triangle we shared last week. The interesting part is it's staying above this blue key level, right? So it's trading at a very narrow range. I'll adjust this a little because the wicks of the upthrust and the second test are actually up there. So back on Tuesday, we see on August 26th, even though the price rose, it has been staying below this line over here. So I'm going to make this adjustment and let the line stay over there. That's the resistance line now. And in terms of this upward support, this upward trend support, the higher lows, the cross over here is near the end of September. So when the price continues to trade within this triangle, the textbook theory of candlestick pattern analysis says an upward triangle is a bullish sign. Let's see whether that's the case in this scenario, because what happened over here is somehow breaking a bit of the normal pattern. Some people would say this is like an inverse head and shoulder, that's why the price shot up. That's fine. What happens now after that? Would it be a head and shoulder that's going to happen, that eventually the price will come to a sign of weakness? That will be interesting to see. Volume itself, even though the candlesticks look crazy, the selling volume isn't that crazy as of this moment. Yesterday was quite a bit of battle. There are wicks on both sides. The bulls and the bears were fighting hard yesterday. Today is much less of a battle. Maybe they are taking a rest after yesterday's battle. Bollinger Band corner squeeze. If the price continued to trade sideways, we will once again enter a squeeze zone. So last time we entered a squeeze, or got very close to a squeeze, was back in around early July, where the price got shot up and then eventually did this kind of swing. Now that we are really getting closer to an actual squeeze, I think it's only a matter of in a few days that would happen. So maybe from now till our next session, the price move would have already happened. If not, we'll be able to catch that in next session, because when it trades sideways for a few more days, the squeeze will eventually happen. And by next week when we come and the price is still within the squeeze, it's also getting closer to the triangle as well. And that would be the time, or the real test of the candlestick textbook definition of an ascending triangle, and see whether this little tip over here has broken this ascending triangle trend. Nevertheless, if the price really do what I said, like a head and shoulder, and come down, it's still within this upward channel, this yellow box. There's still a chance for it to go up, but if it really falls outside of this yellow box and come down to the green to show us a sign of weakness, maybe the daily distribution cycle is really coming to an end, and a new accumulation cycle may happen around, I don't know, mid-September, late September, October time. That's just a wild guess for now, because it's still early. It has to go through all those breakout that I mentioned earlier. So